Monica.
Hello.
Hi. Can y'all hear me, or I'm
Yes.
super loud with this
I'm going
thing?
to introduce you real quick. So this is Monica Luff, and she is a founding member of GUD. So
That's true.
You make me sound like I'm from the 1900s. Thank you.
I make you sound
Thank you. I should have worn my Amish dress.
You're an icon.
Yeah, you're a legend in this place, and someone that's so wise. And I think anytime I want like insight, godly insight on a topic, she's one of the first people I go to. So that's why we wanted to talk to you about this theme for GUD.
Yeah, before we start, thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you for having me, guys. I'm so excited.
Yes.
I have a break for my little ones. We can stay here all night if y'all want. No, I'm joking. Shout out to my hubby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Okay. We will. Yes. I personally have a question. I will say, when it comes to walking with God, what are some practices or some procedures that you do for you to keep that close relationship with God personally, or something that you do?
Yeah, mira, the thing is, and I think with most things in life and with God specifically, it's not one size fits all. O sea, thank goodness shoes are not like that. Shoes are my passion. And not everyone is a shoe size 8, ¿me entendés? Entonces, when it comes to God, obviously reading the Bible and having your praise and worship and fasting y todo eso, o sea, that's like the connection. Pero, como decía Melanie, like her thing was walks, like literally walking and getting to know this person. Y hay gente que when they're running is when they connect with God. Or there's people when they're driving to work. That's when they connect with God. Entonces, for me, it's been different. And what I mean by that is that one thing that I've learned, especially now being a mom, is that your walk with God will change throughout your life. When I was at GUD, my walk with God looked completely different, and it's not that it was no era que era peor ni tampoco que era mejor. It was for that time, ¿me entendés? Yeah. Entonces, in that time, it was serving at church. That meant a lot to me. Like that was kind of like, ¿cómo lo digo? O sea, Dios es el que me da mi identidad, but part of me, like serving in church, was doing that. I was listening to a ton of predicas, and that was helping me a lot. I was reading a lot of books, Christian books, and that was helping me a lot. Christian music was helping me express my feelings and everything with God y todo eso. But ahora, now that I'm a mom, and to answer your question specifically, how my walk with God, I've come to a place that I read the Bible and it just comes alive. Llegó un punto that since I've started preaching a lot more, because I was hearing predicas so much, llegó un punto que sin querer queriendo, I was literally just repeating whatever I had heard, like what God had dropped on someone else's heart. Entonces, I also came to a point como el pueblo con Moisés, que esperaban que Moisés bajara, pero era Moisés el que tenía una relación con Dios. Y en sí no era el pueblo. So I came to a place that I started saying, hey, like if he talks to other people like that, why can't he talk to me like that? Entonces, for me, it was like, honestly, ahora en este tiempo de mi vida, la Biblia, it's the way that I connect, that I walk with him a lot, and then finding moments within my day, and I need those moments, if I'm completely honest, of just closing myself. I'm literally inside my closet right now, and I just come in and I'm like, please, please, Jesus. O sea, hay gente que en el mundo dice just count to 10, and porque some moms may be counting, I'm gonna count to 10, go outside and hope that the kids are gone. Mentiras. pero I come in here and I say, please, 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 Jesus, calm the beast in me. And when I walk outside, let it be you. Que mis niños vean. So what I'm trying to get at is your walk with God, and that's the beauty of it, will change throughout your life. and it won't diminish. Like I'm excited también for what's to come, because hay una parte en la Biblia que dice de que you're growing como el alba, vas en aumento. So yeah, that I don't want to like super extend it.
No. I have a question that I think would be helpful for like a lot of us, especially as youth. Like you were mentioning how you were watching so many sermons that you started repeating, and then you were like, God, like I really want you to speak to me in that way, and I know you can. So like, what are some tips that you have for someone that's like starting off reading their Bible, or really just wants like to, I guess, have that revelation from God, reading the Bible like for themselves? What are some tips to make it? I don't know. What are some tips that you found helpful to like help you read?
Mira, one thing, and I think if we put it simply, por ejemplo, think of your friends, like your close friends, like your best friend. Whenever you feel like you've had a breakthrough, is through intimacy. O sea, basically you've dejaste, o sea, abriste tu corazón por completo. Esa persona vio lo hermoso, pero también vio lo horrible que había dentro de tu corazón. Y you had this kind of like heart to heart conversation with your friend, and you leave there kind of feeling kind of like when you leave out of the therapist office, por así decirlo, como you feel all light and all that stuff. And I think one of the first steps is that with God, like bearing your heart to him. A veces we overcomplicate things when it's really simple, and just like making a simple request. If you think about it, por ejemplo, how did Solomon get so wise? It was a simple request. It was a heart cry. One of my favorite verses in the Bible says, deep calls for deep. O sea, depth is calling out depth. And walking with God is that you're calling out a depth. Y I read this verse que está en Micah, and it's chapter 6, Micah chapter 6, que es en español Miqueas capítulo 6, del verso 6 al 8. It basically answers the question that we're posing today, but it starts saying, with what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall come before him with burnt offerings, with yearling calves? Will the Lord be delighted with thousands of rams, or with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I present my firstborn, or my acts of rebellion, the fruit of my body, for the sin of my soul? Y de ahí para. We're going to stop right there. So basically, if we translate it today, this person is saying, how can I walk with God? Y entonces empieza a hablar y empieza a decir, does walking with God means not missing church at all? Mm-hmm. Does walking with God mean that I have to serve in a ministry? Does walking with God means that I have to fast social media every other month, por ejemplo? Or does walking with God means that my spiritual life has to look like someone else's spiritual life? We've translated this conversation, and if we keep reading, the person que Dios está hablando a través de esta persona, he doesn't say no. He doesn't say no, because todo eso ayuda in a way, like praying and fasting and trying to imitate someone who's imitating God. But what he does in this part, y si seguís leyendo, basically, it's the verse 8, dice, he has told you, oh man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you except to be just, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. So basically it boils, like you were saying at the beginning, you were talking about the gospel. You were talking about this book that you were reading, and this person that was struggling with temptation, and they needed help. They wanted to get out of this, and they needed help. And she was like, just remember the gospel. So this is it. This is boiling it down, bringing it back to the gospel. Y entonces está diciendo, what is he requiring? For you to be just, to walk in integrity, for you to love kindness, to love mercy. Hay una parte en la Biblia que dice, let your gentleness be known to all, porque el Señor está cerca. Y la última parte dice, walk humbly with God. And it doesn't just say walk with God. I love that it adds that word, walk humbly with God, because that means that you have to keep a childlike attitude and keep the wonder. I have kids, and I have little kids right now. Like they're not teenagers where they're not humble anymore. No, I'm just joking. But I have 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And I love the wonder and the curiosidad that they have. And that's the way they learn. Like, if you really think about it, kids will ask you the most random questions that sometimes will make parents uncomfortable. And you're like, whoa, but they're being really innocent. They just want to know, oh, why are babies in your stomach, por ejemplo, or stuff like that. Entonces yo pienso que that's part of like walking with God, like keeping the humbleness and never feeling that you've fully arrived, like that you know it all. And in Christian communities también es bien common that sometimes we're like, oh, who's preaching? And someone will say, oh, so and so. And then the person will reply, I don't like how that person preaches. And without thinking about it, you're not being humble because you're saying, oh, because I'm closing my heart. Right. Because if I did it, maybe it'd be better. Or if so-and-so did it, it would be better. But I want to post to you that whoever el Señor escoge on that particular Saturday or Sunday, Dios tiene algo para ti if you just walk humbly. And then one thing that I wanted to add is, sometimes we get discouraged. O sea, because I feel like we're a generation that we live under highlight reels. Mm-hmm. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't have a TikTok, but TikTok has convinced me that I'm a great dancer. I haven't even tried it. And I know in my heart of hearts, I'm a Latina, okay? And I think Latin blood runs through me, but I'm a terrible, terrible dancer. But I see these people like moving in a way that I'm like, surely the camera is helping them. But we post like the beautiful parts. I love Instagram and I love Pinterest because it's that, like, basically we're portraying our best selves forward. And so in our Christian walks, we start thinking that our walk with God is just highlight reels. And it's not. It's the valleys. It's the highlight reels. It's the time when you're depressed. It's the times that you want to throw in the towel. It's the times that you feel like está volando, tan feliz, and like you're in love with Christ and you want to eat and conquer and bring everyone to Christ. And then there's times that people in the church will disappoint you. Mm-hmm. And all of that es caminar con el Señor. And it all comes down to, if you're feeling defeated and saying you've chosen to walk with God, but you're feeling defeated because you're not walking in integrity, por lo que decías, some kind of temptation, or you want to walk in love and you believe in, por ejemplo, ahorita the whole like women supporting women, but behind their backs you're talking like backstabbing y todo, and then the Lord convicts you and you're like, what am I doing? Or the whole humility thing. And you notice that what I want to say is you pick it up every day. Hay una parte en la Biblia que dice, clothe yourself in the armor of God. I love fashion. Mm-hmm. And I love that verse says, clothe yourself. Because since I love fashion and I'm a very like, me da pena todo, por así decirlo, I would never walk out of my house naked. And that's the same thing with your walk with God. Like, if yesterday you didn't walk in integrity, if yesterday you did this, you did that, the beauty of it is that durante la noche, Dios, o sea, siempre te ama. Even at your darkest point, He'll always love you. And something resets. I love the nights because something resets. Hay una parte que dice que a los que, ¿cómo es la parte exactamente? But it says that even when we're dreaming, Dios nos está ayudando. Entonces, entonces cuando tú te despertas, what do? Just clothe yourself with all that and know that it's not just highlights reel, it's everything.
Yes, I had a question. Let's say, for example, someone is, let's say they're probably emotionally, mentally destroyed. Let's say like it's probably been the worst time for them, and they've never had this walk with God. Walk with God. They don't even know how to start. They don't know where to begin. They don't even know. They probably never accepted Christ. I don't know. Someone watching. But let's say, for example, question. What would you recommend, or would you some words of encouragement for someone that doesn't know where to begin. Because, like, let's say I want to walk with God, I want to change. I'm tired of the life I'm living. What would you give to them? Words of encouragement, or I don't know.
I think, and I can speak to this like personally, and I think everyone, la verdad, we all come from different dark backgrounds. They're all different, but honestly, without God, they're dark. Myself, whenever I came to Christ, I was struggling with an eating disorder. Entonces, like Melanie said, it's a decision. O sea, obviously, I had my lows. Even as I was walking with God, I would have, o sea, tiempos that I felt like I had conquered this, por así decirlo, and I would like fall back again into my old pattern and my old ways. And but it's just taking that decision daily, y como te decía antes, just being honest, and inviting the Holy Spirit to come and fight the battle for you. And another thing that we were talking with Melanie like a really, really long time ago, and we heard it in una predica, but they were talking about like freedom. And we usually think when people talk about freedom, because there's a part in the Bible que dice de que las cosas pasadas, all things are, the old is, como el viejo hombre está enterrado y el nuevo hombre, like everything,
New life.
ajá, y todo eso. So, but basically, we think we come to Christ and boom, you're free, and then you feel this guilt porque you especially like in mi caso, if you're battling with some type of addiction, it may be pornography, it may be alcohol, it may be I don't know, help me guys, drugs, eating disorders, cutting yourself, I don't know, anything. Yeah, there's such a big range. um Sometimes you'll feel that shame, and you'll think, bueno, because everyone in church is telling me that, porque ya vine al Señor, I'm free. Like, what's wrong with me? Pensás that there's something with you wrong, or that you're a mistake, that you don't belong in this like super holy place of people that were this before, and now they're nada que ver con esto. But here's the thing that I feel that in church we're missing, and we're not telling people enough, que freedom is a walk as well. Freedom is a daily thing. Freedom, just as love, is a choice. Entonces, if you're feeling discouraged, especially right now in the stay in place order, I love that word because there's a part in the Bible. Eso es lo que nos ha pedido el gobierno, like stay in place, the government.
Yeah.
And the Bible says, stay still and know that I'm God. Kind of like the same thing, but from a different kingdom. Entonces, if you're operating in our worldly kingdom, and you're staying in place, you're at home, a veces that has opened the doors to maybe you were battling pornography. And since you're at home, you're feeling so alone. And the only connection that you were feeling to another human being was through pornography, ha vuelto a caer. Y te has sentido mal. Or maybe this whole pandemic ha traído like a ton of triggers from the past. And if you had an eating disorder, por ejemplo, you see a lot of people, social media, por ejemplo, has bombarded not only women, but men throughout this pandemic about what is it called? The pandemic 15, or the something 15, and you feel like, ¿me entendés? And everyone's like thinking, everyone's working out, everyone's baking. You kind of like see the same pattern, and then everyone's talking about Adele. And for someone with an eating disorder, that can be a trigger. And this whole pandemic, like staying in place, porque that's the thing. When you're staying in place and focusing your eyes, no in Cristo, not in Christ, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a breeding ground for darkness, a breeding ground for depression. But if you're staying still and knowing that He is God, it's going to be a totally, completely different experience for you. Ayer en la noche, Melanie había hablado conmigo, just like a gist of what we were going to talk, and I couldn't sleep en la noche, and I think I was drifting in and out of sleep. Y en una de esas veces, I woke up y el Señor me empezó a hablar y me empieza a decir, we were talking about wonder. And again, going back to the tema de walking humbly with God. And we were talking about wonder and how he created us and how nothing that we can do, nothing that you, Melanie, or I can do, or anyone who's joining us, nothing that happens or we do surprises him. And at that moment, for some reason, it blew my mind because he created us. But then he added this following part. He said, but it gives me so much joy to surprise y'all because I know what's to come. Y entonces I started talking to him about this whole like pandemic and being closed in y todo eso. Y me dice, if you would just set your eyes in what I'm trying to do in the spirit and not in the natural, you would be able to see the wonder. You would be able to see the families being united, the families are together being united, the families that are apart, their bonds being made stronger. You would be able to see spiritual healing. You would be able to hear, literally heal, chains being broken of addiction in this time. Entonces, let's be surprised by him during this pandemic.
I agree.
So good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have anything to add. I'm just like,
yeah.
This is how I feel every time.
We can talk till midnight, guys.
Yeah,
my husband is watching my kids. I'm a free woman.
She's like, okay, next question.
Come on, keep it going, guys.
I kind of just agree with like everything that you said, and the thing that stood out the most was being humble and like just opening up with God and being yourself and being pure and letting go and everything, all your troubles, all your issues, all the scars, all the flaws that you probably be embarrassed about, or you feel like it's because it's so much different. It's so much different when it comes to like a human being, someone that you probably trust. And I don't know. It's honestly, it's honestly very weird. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like how, sometimes the things that we will, I don't know, probably tell our closest friend or our closest sibling or our spouse or whoever.
We
Like,
don't tell God.
How much more can like we open up to God that He already knows all these things, and that's obviously like amazing, and just to think that God already knows everything that you're going through, and all He wants is to listen from you, and you want to talk and have that conversation with you. It's just so special, and like sometimes leaves me speechless and even emotional because like even though I mess up, even though you mess up, whoever's watching, even though you mess up, like God is still open arms and like you're still my son, you're still my daughter, and I still care, and that's honestly amazing.
Can I think we have to close soon, right? Because we
No,
might be running. No, we might be running out of time. But just to add a little bit to what you said, and I'm really opening up my heart on this. I'll only share a part of the whole thing, but probably like a year ago, I had this vision. We were at church. We were in praise and worship, and I had this vision, and I think, well, I'm pretty sure, but I didn't see him. The person at the front, como en el altar, at the altar, estaba Jesús. And he was looking towards like our church door, like the front door where people come. He was looking at that door. Entonces, it was like a massive line of people, like people lined up. Basically, no one was sitting in the chairs and the church stairs. Everyone was lined up, and I was just there, like kneeling, just looking at what was happening. La cosa es que I saw that people were being lined up and waiting for their turn to go, basically to talk to him. And what I heard was every single time someone came up to him, what they would do is they would share their testimony with Jesus. and you would, and I would, and I would hear things, ¿me entendés? Como que, oh, you saved me of this and blah blah, and then the next person would come and the same thing, oh, you healed me from this disease, and that's how I came to know you and blah blah, and I question. I didn't open my lips, but I did. Ves que sometimes you don't say it, but you say it in your head. So I said it in my head, and I thought, well, if that's Jesus and he knows us, why are these people like sharing their testimony? Like, why are they telling him what he did? Like, he knows what he did. Like, I thought that. Y en ese momento in the vision, God answered me, and he said, because I like to hear from their lips. Like, it pleases me to hear it, to hear them say, and I heard so much joy in his voice. Like, he delights in our hearts, he delights in our words, he delights in the way this we speak. Ahora estaba hablando con mi esposo about my accent, and let me tell you something, he delights in my accent. He delights in my husband's accent, and he delights in the little quirks that we have. No sé si a veces some people, they're really not public speakers or not very social. Like, they're socially awkward, and when it comes to God, they're like, whoa, like, if I have difficulty making friends, think about trying to be the friend of God. Entonces, what I'm getting at, Jesus even loves that, because he's crazy about that. He's crazy about socially awkward people. Thank goodness, because I'm one of them. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I, like, whenever you were saying that, like, I was also like, wow, like, to think that God knows everything, created, like, sometimes we think of, like, geniuses in the world, and we're like, there's no way, like, someone's that smart, and we think, like, they're on another level of wisdom, and then if we really start to think about how, like, much God knows and just how powerful it is, and he still wants to know about us.
Oh,
like, how amazing is that? You were saying that, like, what could be more humbling than that? Like, the fact that he wants to know something that he already did, like, it's just mind-blowing and beautiful, and you just feel so loved.
Yeah, sometimes, like, whenever I first began, like, my walk with God, it's just, like, sometimes I would, like, be emotional. I'm like, okay, I know God wants to hear from me. I know that he knows what I'm going through. He knows all the good things as well. But why me? Like, now that was a question that I will always ask myself. Why me? Who am I? I don't, like, who am I? Like, I'm so messed up. I am so messed up, and he still cares. And he still wants to talk to you, and that's honestly beautiful.
Yeah. That's the same question David had.
Yeah.
Yes. But any last words. Anything that you would like to close off with?
I just did. I don't know if
Okay.
there's any questions. I would love, like, if anyone else that's watching has any questions. I haven't seen any questions, if I'm honest, pop up.
No, I do not. I don't recall.
No.
No. I think you're good, Moni.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Moni.
joining.
Oh, no, thank you. I love this. I enjoyed this.